Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! Oh my God! KO in midair!
Hey, what's up everyone? I'm back today. Mixing it up a little bit, and for once, actually showcasing a tier 10 medium on the channel with the, I don't know if I've put a game up in this thing since I've gotten it back. Maybe I have, but in FV4202, the cheese tank. And yeah, I actually really enjoy this tank. I'm glad I got it back. My biggest issue with it is I fire a lot of HESH because memes are real. And that gets me in trouble sometimes, and you'll probably see that at the end of the game as well in this one. But we're going to fire a lot of HESH this game as well. Yeah. Necessarily, do I like this thing more than the Action 10? Maybe not. I would probably still prefer to play the Action 10 in terms of what's a better tank. I just like the heat. It lets me deal with all the situations mostly better. But this one's probably more fun to play just because of the hilarity that can kind of ensue with the HESH rounds. With their 480 alpha, I'm pretty sure that's it. And I think it's 220 HESH pen. Correct me if I'm wrong there, I'm just trying to ballpark it off the top of my head. But we're on Hellebron, and we're going to initially push up with our medium tank wargaming trailer platoon that we're in right now. Kidding aside, but we're going to push up fairly aggressively because unlike me in a tier 10 light, I actually have some armor and I can actually kind of frontline a little bit better rather than when I'm playing my scout tank. So I can take a position that's a little more suited to that kind of role. We snap one into the Scorpion G for the first shot of damage of the game, which is nice. He is not going to run away probably, but we could have had the HESH loaded for him. 257 makes his head, or pops out. I don't know really what his plan was here, but we're going to try to punish him for it. Making sure to aim above the V-shaped side armor, or aim for the pike nose. If those things are side on, don't aim below the where the tracks are at. Look where I'm aiming, either side of the turret, or that first shot that pen up near the engine deck almost is kind of where you want to aim. There's a strip of armor you can pen right there on that tank, because I know they're a pain to deal with occasionally. But good start to the game so far. There's no arty, so we don't have to worry about getting clicked on from the back of the map. And we can kind of utilize some positions that otherwise we really couldn't, especially on top of this hill where I'm going right now. And we've loaded the first HESH rounds of the game, as we spotted the Waffle, which is the dream target for this. And there's a couple other tanks off to our left that we may be able to use on as well, including a Batchet AP, which is very, very squishy and will always pen, as we get a nice 502 damage roll, plus a little bit of fire, but our 704 finishes them off so we don't get that burn and go. But nice juicy roll, high roll. The Waffle pops out, and we're making sure not to hit the gun here, and we get another nice juicy, well, kind of a low roll, but so you can't complain too much when you get 450 alpha on a tier 10 medium. With this kind of rate of fire. We're kind of using the bushes here so we don't get spotted, or trying our best not to get spotted. It's a pretty good overwatch position. Again, got the machine, that shot just goes into oblivion. But this gives the shots into the left and the right flanks. This game is kind of weird. It is a standard battle, but it almost developed into what the assault variant of this map looks like, which I really despise, especially defending, if you've ever watched streams. I despise it, but yeah, that's something else for another day. Yeah, most of their team, stalemate right now, they're all in the town. Unfortunately, we still have HESH loaded when we spot this Conqueror. We try to aim above the tracks, and that could have worked, but in reality, APCR is the better for that kind of tank. But we're keeping the HESH loaded, because a lot of their tanks are fairly squishy, or their sides are squishy compared to where we're at, including a Waffle. There's Waffle 4, Scorpion G. The machine's sides are very easily pennable, and some of their tier 8s to the left as well that we can pen with the HESH. Just the biggest thing is avoiding spaced armor and tracks. Tracks kill HESH. It annoys me. but for some reason on this tank versus like some lights, I always use it. Maybe it's just because it has the extra pen. It actually has over 200 millimeters of pen, so it's more reliable than like 102, like on the British, not British, the German Bulldogs. As you see, we slapped the freaking waffle for over 500 in a medium tank, which is so nice. And then we pick up the spot on the AMX and slapped him for 480. So we just did like 1,000 damage in 2 shots in a medium tank. And we try to get to the last one, but it goes behind his turret, which is pretty unfortunate. But he's going to oblige us and poke out again for some reason, and we're going to take off another 530 health. If it works, and when it works, it is disgusting what this DPM can do with the HESH rounds. I'm not saying you want to load as many as I do always, but this tank has so much ammo that I don't feel like I'm going to ever use that much APCR. 40 APCR is still a hell of a lot, and I don't think I'm ever going to use that much. Realistically, I could probably take off the 4 regular HE rounds, but because I don't really use them that much. I don't really see the purpose of them. I should just fire HESH or APCR. I don't know, maybe I'll switch that up. But let me see, right here we're actually aiming at the Paladin's like engine deck area, because again, tracks aren't going to go in, but if we can hit above the tracks, it will pen. That one doesn't. That one probably hit the tracks. It's still a really chancy shot, but here we go, aim up again, and that one goes in. It's just knowing where to aim with the HESH rounds, kind of being aware of where you had the best chances to penetrate. And so far, we racked up 4,700 damage. Maybe a little. Oh no, we haven't had a blind shot yet. That one does pen. So we're probably up about 5,000 damage at the moment, and about 1,000 assisted. And we're gonna get a little more on the 183 here in a second, hopefully. And we're just gradually moving in. There are all TDs left, and we're still firing HESH. A heshing we will go on this game, but I have no issues with that. I have so much silver. That is the thing. If you don't pen your HESH rounds, it's super expensive. So I don't recommend it all the time. But I have a very, very large sum of silver in my garage, so I don't really mind it. And it doesn't feel as dirty as firing maybe all heat or all APCR. Not that I really care about that either, but yeah, this is just kind of more for hilarity in this case. Not that the APCR is bad, as we're just going to line up and take out the waffle who is paying attention to somebody else. APCR on this thing is fine. It's great. It's 270 pen APCR. There is an issue with this tank, and that is going to come up at the end of this game, and we'll get to that when it happens. And why I kind of like the Action 10 better for consistency purposes. That was risky. The fuel tanks were located on the sides of this thing, so he could have easily lit us up there, especially since we were running heat. Because, you know, Super Uni has to ruin food. But yeah. But now we're going to get into why I kind of like the Action 10 better if I'm looking to play a more consistent tank. We have the Death Star left, but he's on like no health, so I'm gonna ignore him. I was a little like indecisive there on where to go. I didn't know where the aggro was at. I didn't want to just push into corridors that I didn't know. But he's spotted over here. I'm still loading the HESH because I feel like I can pen the side of his superstructure if we side on. And sure enough, he is side on, so we're gonna try to aim for the upper superstructure right here. But unfortunately for us, it hits the roof. There's actually a pretty good chance if we had hit the flat side on of his superstructure, it would have penned. And now he was kind of an issue. I can't pen him with HESH from the front, obviously. But our APCR at this range and with his angling down like that, I can't pen him either. 270 APCR is really good, actually, but it's not enough to go through this. And the angling of that lower plate down just kind of prevents me from doing anything, and this is where I'd rather have heat. So at this point I'm almost forced to load the HESH rounds, or HE. I could have just loaded HE here, and yeah, I'm really just trying to go for the tracks. I know I'm aiming for that, but I really should just be aiming for the tracks here to just try to get the assisted damage off this guy, and we do get that. But this is where I'd really rather have the heat rounds. And with a lot of the heavily armored tanks and corridor maps that we have nowadays, I'd rather have the heat rounds with extra pen for consistency purposes. And here I'm just trying to feather a shot with APCR because it did turn sideways into either the tracks or the superstructure. Somehow that one bounces as well. Again, I'd much rather have the heat here than either of these other two rounds, but here we finally do pick up the killing shot and finish him off for our 4th kill of the game, and taking us up to probably 7k damage with a little under 2k combined. But this tank's probably more fun in that kind of a purpose. If you're looking for the more, I don't know, meme tank, this is the one. And it's still very good. It's got really good armor, especially that upper plate. It's a lot of auto ricochets for a lot of guns, and especially when you use that gun to rush, and it's pretty good for that. And the action hits a little squishier in terms of armor, but it's also, you know, like I said, I think it's more flexible in terms of dealing with all the tanks that it can come up against. But you can see like that, 1,000 damage to the 65 TT in 2 shots. So if you want to do stuff like that, this is the tank for you. But it's really up to you. Do you want to have more fun, or do you want to have a tank that's more consistent? So it's kind of up in the air with either one. Both good tanks. You can't really go wrong with either. But yeah, good game. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you next time. See ya.